Fourth name is Sivaram Krishnan. You are from India?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Can I know your brief background? Welcome to Azure, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. I'm working professional. I have 11.6 years of experience. I'm looking to change the technology, so I'm
On
seeing.
what technology you have been working?
I worked on GCP, yes, GCP and BigQuery,
Okay.
like SQL and BigQuery, so SQL and GCP.
Okay, okay. Sure. No problem. Welcome to Azure, sir.
Thank you.
Basically, this course is a data engineering curriculum. Okay.
Okay, okay,
That is going to have the Azure Data Engineering plus Databricks plus Power BI Fusion. Okay. These are all the things that we are going to see from end to end within this Azure cloud. Okay. So last 2 3 days, what we have done is we have seen the cloud computing concepts, okay, as well as we have seen how to create a free Azure trial account and the differences between the on-premise and cloud computing. What is capex and opex? What is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service? Okay, and we also started seeing something like Azure global infrastructure. Okay, so what is the top level higher? What is the top level within this global infrastructure? What is top level within this global infrastructure?
Geography.
Geography. Yeah, the top level what you are having here is geography. Okay, within geography, after geography, what you're having is you have something like the regions. Okay, within the regions you can have something like availability zones. Okay, under these availability zones, what you expect to have is that you are expected to have these data centers that should exist still. So this is the hierarchy that you need to really understand. This is the hierarchy that you need to focus. Geography, you have something like the regions. Regions are having something like the availability zones, and availability zones are going to have something like these data centers that exist in this particular scenario here. Okay, so this is one thing that is really important. Okay, now, so let us go ahead and then start logging into this Azure portal and then start seeing what are the things that we can do today. Okay, my basic purpose today is I told you in the case of Azure, you are going to have these five services which are happens to be the foundational. What are those five services? Those five services happens to be compute. The second one is storage. The third one is networking. The fourth one is database, and fifth one is security. Okay, so all the services, all these four services happens to be the building blocks of your Azure data engineering. You should be in a position to have a perfect hands-on how to use these particular services, as well as how to utilize these particular services in order to have a perfect launchpad for your data engineering and data analytics curriculum. That's the reason what we do is that we'll try to take a complete we'll try to take a complete uh, launchpad of your Azure portal and then see what are all the things that you're going to have here. Okay. So each and every option, what I'm going to tell you is going to be important. Okay. So that's the reason I just request you to be focused, and then by the end of this particular session, you should be in a position to create your compute service in the form of your Azure virtual machine, and then you should be in a position to log in and do certain set of activities out there. That is what is the purpose of creating this Azure virtual machine. So, without wasting much of the time, what I do is that let me go ahead and then start signing out here first. Signing out. Once you sign out, what it is going to ask you is that it is going to ask you uh, the type of uh, account that you want to use. So I use this particular account. When I start using this particular account, it asks me to specify the user ID and the password here. And then click on the sign button here. You see this Azure portal. Okay. The moment once you see this Azure portal, the thing what is going to happen is you'll be able to see something like earlier I'm having something like $200 credit I'm having, but now the dollar credit what I'm having here has been reduced to 199.97. So it keeps on diminishing. Okay. So there is the default subscription. What is that subscription here? That subscription is nothing but your Azure subscription one. Okay. When you go to this subscriptions, the subscriptions plays a very really important role. Okay. And here what you're having is you have something like there is a default subscription that has been created. There is a default subscription that has been created, and then it is mentioning this one as uh, subscription one. Within this particular subscription, you can be able to see how much is the rename. I want to rename this one as uh, Hello World subscription. Hello free tier subscription. I try to mention free tier subscription. I want to mention. Okay, you specify this Hello free tier subscription and then click on this save. Okay, what it is going to tell you here? It is going to tell you something like how much is the spend rate what you have and what is the cost for this particular resource. All these things it is going to give you here basically. Okay, in a real time environment, when you are having three types of teams like development team along with testing team along with your production team, what we can do is that we can have the option of creating three subscriptions, something like dev subscription and what is the other one? Dev subscription, and the second one is QA subscription, and third one is a production subscription that we can create. Okay, within each and every subscription, you can have the option of spinning the resources. You can have the option of creating all these AWS resources that you can create, Azure resources that you can create. Okay, once you, what is this one here? Once you create these resources, thank you. Once you create this particular resource, what once you create this particular resources, what happens is in each and every subscription, you're going to get the bill like this. You're going to get the bill like this. So that's the reason you need to create those particular subscriptions. So the initial subscription, what you are having here is nothing but your free trial subscription. Free trial subscription you're having here. Okay. Uh, that is what is your free trial subscription. Okay. Now what is going to happen is mm, once this free trial account subscription completely expires, you need to upgrade to something called as pay as you go subscription that you need to subscribe. That is the first thing that you need to understand about this subscriptions. These are your subscriptions that you're having. These are your subscriptions that you're having here in this particular case. I tried to change this one, right? Is it not working on?
Ravi, one quick question. So after 1 month, we need to purchase the credits.
Yes, of course. It is something like pay as you go subscription. You need to purchase the credits. Once you purchase the credits, you'll be intimated for each and every service how much is the cost that is going to be incurred, and then you'll be getting a monthly bill basically. Okay.
Yeah.
We have a question. So, does it upgrade automatically, or do we need to manually upgrade?
No, no, no. It will tell you. It will tell you that your subscription is expired. So would you want to use your credit card for because yesterday when you have created your free trial account, have you not specified your credit card or debit card? You specified, right?
Yeah, credit card. Yeah.
No. So you need to specify your credit card. That it will be intimated to you. Okay. And based on that only, upon your approval only, you will be able to you'll be able to get charged for the services what you're going to utilize. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, no, this is not renaming it, so that's okay. So we go to the subscriptions and then you have the subscriptions here. Now, yesterday I have told you there are two options that you can have here. Yesterday I was telling you something called as the marketplace. What is that marketplace? How do you define that marketplace?
The third party tools basically.
Yeah. The third-party applications, the third-party platforms are anything related to your third-party software or the data when you want to utilize, you can have the option of buy, sell, and then procure those resources within uh, the third-party marketplace. Okay. Otherwise, everything what you're having here will be available within your Azure also as well. Are available within your Azure also. The moment once you select here, you'll be able to see something like all resources. When you select all resources here, you should be able to get something like these are all the resources that these are all the resources that has been created so far. But this is the way that you're going to utilize these particular resources here. Okay. The moment once you go to this particular home, the first thing what I want to do is that I want to create the basic machine that is really required for the purpose of working. Okay. That machine, what you're having here is called as a Azure Virtual Machine. That machine, what you're having here is nothing but a Azure Virtual Machine. Okay. While you are creating your Azure Virtual Machine, the same virtual machine in the case of AWS is called as EC2. EC2. Okay, it is nothing but your elastic compute cloud, what we call over there. Okay, but here we are going to call that one as a virtual machine. So here, when I try to create a particular resource, see here, when I'm trying to create a particular resource, it is going to ask me the types of categories that we want to use. Okay, I have told you I need to go to this particular compute category. Once you go to your compute category, you will be able to see something called as these are all the popular marketplace products. These are all the popular marketplace products that you can use, but you can have the option of selecting this Azure Virtual Machine. Where did you see that one? This is AI plus marketing. This is analytics. This is something like compute. Within this compute, what you can see here, you'll be able to see something like where you have this virtual machine. Here, what is here? Create a virtual machine that runs on your Linux or
Azure Virtual Machine based solution.
sorry.
On the left hand side, Azure Virtual Machine based solution. Sir. Is that the one?
No. We try to use this particular virtual machine. Let me tell you. Okay. Now, what I want to do is that I want to create something called as this Azure Virtual Machine. Okay. You can have the option of creating this Azure machine with the preset configuration. The third one is the Azure Arc Virtual Machine, and then you're having something like VMware Virtual Machine is there here. We'll be able to see these concepts the moment once you get into the course. Okay. But the basic machine, what you need to see is this is nothing but your Azure Virtual Machine you want to create. So that virtual machine, what you have seen in the previous case is nothing but the category, sir. That is the category that has been used. Okay. So you select this Azure Virtual Machine. We need to create this virtual machine. This is going to contain a lot of steps. We need to complete this basics. Okay. We need to select this particular disks. The storage, what is really required. We need to talk about the networking, the management, the monitoring, along with this particular advanced tabs plus rewrite, and these are the things that we need to use here. Rewrite and uh, review and then create. These are all the things that we need to use. So I want to create a basic virtual machine first. Okay. For the purpose of creating this basic machine, the first thing what it is asking is, it is asking you to specify the subscription. So what is the subscription I have told you here? Subscription is nothing but a category that is really going to specify, okay, under what bucket you are going to create this particular resource. Under what bucket? Whether you are creating this virtual machine under your whether you are creating this virtual machine under your development category, or else it might be your QA category, or else it might be your production category. Okay. So for now, I just want to mention something like this is what is my Azure subscription one, which is nothing but my free type. I'll select this. Okay. The moment once I select this one, the next thing what it is going to do is that it is going to ask me to specify this resource group. We need to understand what is this resource group. Okay. Suppose you are creating a web application, or else you are creating a database application. Okay. The database application, you need to have the virtual machine, you need to have the database, you need to have you need to have a web server that is really required in order to make up that particular application. Okay. So what are the resources that are really required to create an application? I can group those particular resources, and then I call that particular group as a resource group. Okay. Tomorrow, just like the subscription, within the subscription, how much is my amount of dollars spent? I'm able to understand here. Okay. Similarly, when I try to create this particular resource group for that particular web application or the database application, how much is the cost that is being incurred for each and every resource within that particular group? If you want to have a detailed billing of each and every resource that you're going to create, you can have the option of creating that resource group by default. Is that clear to you? What is the purpose of this resource group? Ante, whenever you are going to collect all the resources that are really required for the purpose of creating an application, I can logically group those resources together and call that particular group as the resource group. And call that particular group as the resource group. So it is a must. Every resource that what you create in Azure should be belonging to a resource group, and that particular resource group has to belong to a particular subscription, and that particular resource group has to belong to a particular subscription. That's the reason we need to create that. Resource group by default. See here, there might be a couple of resource groups that exist. Okay, I can have the option of creating a new resource group and then call this particular resource group as Azure Demos resource group. Azure Demos resource group. I can create this Azure Demos resource group that I can create. Okay, so from tomorrow onwards, what are the resources that I'm going to create that are going to be the part of your Azure Demos? I create like this. I need to mention the name of this virtual machine. Virtual machine. So when you mention this name of this virtual machine, what exactly it is basically going to contain? I need to mention this one as a hello world virtual machine. This is my first virtual machine that I want to create. Okay. Now, Nagmani, please try to understand the questions what I'm asking here.
Okay, Ravi.
Now, my question is, if I'm going to create a virtual machine or a laptop or any machine server that I'm going to create, what are the components that are really required for creating a virtual machine? You tell me. What are the components that are really required for creating a virtual machine? What are the components?
Uh,
What is that? I need to have this operating system, right?
yes.
Operating system. We need to have this operating system that is really required. And what is the second one that we need to have? We need to have something like the CPU category, the CPU family. What is that CPU family? Whether it is a x86 machine or else how many number of CPUs that you want to have. Okay, how much is the amount of RAM that you need to use? That has to be specified, right? Okay. And the third one, what you need to specify is that you need to specify something like I need one with this. Yeah. And the next thing what I need to specify is that I need to mention something like the in the CPU family, I need to specify something like the vCPUs, the vCPUs that I want to use, CPUs, virtual CPUs, along with I need to mention this particular RAM also as well. And I need to mention this particular disk. What is the disk here? This disk is nothing but your secondary storage that you want to utilize for this one. This is the secondary storage that we want to use. Along with this one, you need to mention something like the network interface. The network interface for the purpose of connecting to the networking you want to specify. That is what is called as NIC, network interface card, that you need to specify. Okay, and along with that one, you need to mention whether your virtual machine, what you are going to create, is going to be a part of a particular network. Okay, that particular network is going to contain something like VP network, that is virtual private network, and within this one you are going to have something like subnet that you are going to have. Okay, all these particular things should be used for the purpose of creating this Azure virtual machine. For the purpose of creating this Azure virtual machine. So let us see how these things are going to be used for the purpose of creating this one. First thing, what is being specified here? It is asking you to specify the region in which your virtual machine has to be created. So what is that region over there? Can anybody tell me what is the purpose of that region over there? What is the purpose of the region? I told you, right? You have the
where the computing machine is executing.
Yeah,
and store the data.
Right.
Yeah, you have the geography, and within the geography, you have something called as the region. Okay, that means that it specifies the region where your virtual machine has to be created. Okay, so if I am in US, what I do is that I'll try to use something like US East because I'm in the East zone. If you are in India, Mumbai or Hyderabad, you need to mention something like Asia Pacific or something of the sort you need to mention. So it is always better to create the resource or the virtual machine in the closest proximity of the area where you reside. In the closest proximity of the area where you reside. So that's the reason what we do is that we'll try to mention this particular region as US East or Asia Pacific, something of the sort. We can specify all these things. How many regions are there so far? Right now, the number of regions what you're having here is around 55 or 56 resources that you're having, regions that you're having, and Azure stands the top with respect to the regions across the major cloud service providers. Across the major cloud service providers. So here, what I do is that I'll try to mention this one as US East USA. And what are these zones here? What are these zones? What is this zone here? This zone is nothing but your availability zone, right? This zone, what you are having here is nothing but your availability zone. So that means that the availability zone specifies the data center where your virtual machine has to be created. Okay. Now here is the catch here. If you specify only one zone, within that zone only the data center, that virtual machine is going to be created. When you specify zone 2 also as well, what is going to happen? How many virtual machines are going to be created?
So it's a replication here.
Yeah, two virtual machines are good. It's not replication, and it is something like load balancing.
Okay.
Load balancing in the sense when you're trying to create a cluster, what is the purpose is you can try to have two or one or more than one instance that can be created in each and every zone, so that the load can be spread across each and every zone. That's the reason we can have the option of specifying that particular zone type also as well. You understand?
Yeah,
So,
got it.
so that's the reason what we do is that we try to mention this one as zone 1. Okay, trying to specify the zone or trying to specify the region is not going to cost you anything. Is not going to cost you anything. So this is the availability zone that you can specify. Okay, there are see, no infrastructure redundancy required. Then in such a case, you go with this particular availability zone is not really required. But you mentioned this availability zone. Mentioning this one as the zone what I'm having is zone 1. I'm going to create this one. Okay.
But this is within 300 miles, right? This is
Yeah, the data centers are the regions. What regions will be within 300 miles, basically. Regions.
Okay.
Regions, what you're having here will be within 300 miles. And the regions, the data centers, what you're having here will be much more nearest than the one what you're having over there, basically.
Okay.
Okay. So this is your zone
Yeah.
one.
Sorry, Ravi. It's selecting the zone. It will impact the performance, and it has a criteria for performance improvement.
Sorry, Jaykumar, can you please repeat?
No. Selecting of zone. What's the main agenda? It will be any supporting. I mean, increasing of performance. It will help.
No way it is going to increase the performance. We are
Okay.
see, this is only a placement group, Baba. This is only a placement.
Okay.
Placement
Okay.
percent in which region and within your global geography, where are you going to place? That is something that is going to specify. That's it, not more than that.
I thought it is going to be again. It's a reachability data reachability time.
No,
It's
not.
yeah, no. All
Okay.
right. Thank you.
And you have something called as a security type that exists. Okay. Uh, See, the basic level of security that you want to do. And like whenever you purchase any laptop, what they do is that they try to give you this antivirus, right? When you put that antivirus like McAfee or something of that sort, what you just want to ensure is that you just want to ensure nothing is going to, no virus or no hacking is really going to affect you. Okay. So if we just want to make sure, I want to create the security type as say protects against persistent and advanced attacks on Gen 2 virtual machines. Okay. Now, when you go for this particular confidential virtual machines, this is going to be the highest level of severity and security that is going to be provided. Okay. But right now, I'm interested only in this trusted launch virtual machines here, standard. You can also have the option of specifying something as the standard security that also you can specify. Everything I'm trying to keep it at a bare minimum level to ensure that I'm not going to be built so that you can have the option of utilizing more resources and then do some applications at a breadth. That's the reason we are just limiting to this particular standard over there. Okay. Now this is the image. What is this image? This image is nothing but the operating system that we want to use. The image is nothing but the operating system that we want to use. So when we mention this one, there are a lot of operating systems that you're going to have here. See all images. When you see, there will be the list of all the images that you can see here. Basically, selecting an image. These are all the list of operating systems that you can do here. But what I'm interested is that I'm interested only within the free. See, I'm interested. See, there are something like 1 to 20 of 785 results that is being shown here. That means that it contains the vast number of things. But when you want to use only this particular Azure services, that is not showing here. Okay. So what you do is that you go to this create virtual machine. Here, I'm interested in mentioning something like the I want to go with this Linux. Okay. For this particular Linux, just try to make sure that what is the free services that is really available. Okay. Suppose when you want to go with this particular Red Hat Linux, what is going to specify is that it is going to throw an error. What is the error it is throwing here? The virtual machine requires a subscription without any spending limit or temporary payment method setup. Okay, that means that what you need to have is that you need to have a more advanced subscription for the purpose of utilizing this feature. That's the reason what we want to have is that I just want to have not this Red Hat Linux, but this is the thing that I want to go with respect to this free tier. That is Ubuntu server 22.4 free services available. You can select. Then you are within the free tier services limit. Is that clear to you? You are within the free tier services limit that you are having here in this case. No, within this particular free tier services limit, the architecture what I'm using is 64-bit architecture I'm using here. There is something called as this spot discount is there. Let me tell you, when you go to the grocery store, okay, when you purchase a lot of items in lot, okay, what you do is that you get some discount. Okay, so when you try to purchase a lot of instances in lot, what happens is that those instances are basically treated as spot instances. Those instances are basically treated as spot instances. So what is the feature of this particular spot instance? You create an instance, you launch an instance, or else you launch a virtual machine. Okay, then what happens is that in case if there is a demand that this particular resource, this particular virtual machine, what you are using has to be utilized by somebody else, then what you have to do is that you have to return that particular service. You have to return that particular virtual machine. Okay, so that's the reason with a very large discount when you want to create a virtual machine group of virtual machines, then what you need to do is that you need to spin up this particular machines called as this spot machines, that what we can call basically. So that's the reason when you try to open this one, it tells you here spot offers an unused Azure capacity at a discounted rate versus pay as you go. Okay, workload should be tolerant to infrastructure because Azure may recall capacity to pay as you go workloads basically. Suppose you have launched a virtual machine, okay, and you are running a process. Within the middle of the process, what happens is Azure recalls that one. When Azure recalls that one, what you'll be having is you'll be having the grace period something like 3 minutes or 2 minutes. Within that 3 minutes time, you need to return that particular virtual machine to Azure. The reason why you need to return is maybe once it becomes free, then only you would like to take that one. Okay, because such type of services are nothing but your discounted services. Okay, so those discounted services, when you want to purchase in lot, whenever they are available, then in such a case, what we do is that we go to that particular offer called as this Azure Spot services that we want to use. John, you are able to follow what are these Azure Soft services?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This is what is this Azure Soft services that we want to use here. Now, so right now I'm not really interested in any of these particular discounts because I don't have money to use this one. Then what is the size? What I told you here, the moment once you try to select this one, I need to have this particular CPU family. That means that how many number of virtual CPUs that I want to use and what is my RAM that I want to utilize. I just need to specify. I just want to specify those things. So for that particular purpose, what I do is that I'll try to mention something like, please open this one. There will be a lot that you're having here. When you try to use this recommended by image publisher, it will be $70 per month, $140, and then $91 per month. You try to get it like this. Instead of this one, what you can do is that there is one thing called as free services available, eligible. Within that free services, how many vCPUs you are having? One vCPU. How much is RAM that you are giving here? That is nothing but your 1 GB of RAM that you are giving here. And how much is the cost? That cost is something like $7.59 per month. Once your free trial expires, this is the cost that you are supposed to give. This is the bare minimum that you can use. That's the reason I'm trying to select this one. Advent. That's the way we are trying to create. Nagmani, you are following. That's the thing. What we created as the size. This is what is your CPU family that we want to create as per your free tier eligibility for the purpose of creating a virtual machine. Okay.
Sure, sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Now, I don't want to have any hibernation that we want to use. Hibernation means what? What is this hibernation? Can anybody tell me what is this hibernation?
Temporary pause.
Means that when I try to go here and then when I try to do like this, it will be saying something like sleep. Okay, if I want to save the current state of the machine, okay, and when I at a later point of time, whenever I activate that machine, what it should happen is that instead of starting from scratch, it should start from the place where we have left earlier. Okay, such type of thing is what is called as the hibernation mode. Okay, for the purpose of including that hibernation mode, what it is asking here, it is asking you to specify something like you must register your subscription. You need to upgrade your subscription. Okay, so with this particular free trial, we'll not be able to do that one. That's the reason I'm not enabling this particular hibernation. Now, what I want to do here, this is my virtual machine. I want to log into this particular virtual machine. Okay, for the purpose of logging into this virtual machine, instead of using this SSH security socket shell, what I can do is that I can have the option of using this particular password. When you use the password, it will be asking you to specify the username, the password, and then this particular confirmed password that I want to specify. So specify this one as what we can specify, Azure user, and then you need to mention this password because the value should be something like 12 characters. Okay, and then confirm this password here. Specify this one, and then you have this inbound port rules. You are creating a virtual machine, okay, and I want to use this virtual machine as a web server. Understood? I want to use this particular machine as a web server. So when I want to use this particular machine as a web server, don't you get the request from the public places? You'll be getting the request from the public places, right? So if you plan to get the request from the public places, obviously what we have to do is that whether you're going to have something like public inbound ports. What are those ports? Those ports are nothing but your HTTP port, or else it is going to be your HTTPS port. Okay, so I can have the option of using these two things also as well. These are the two public ports that we are having here. That means that all internet traffic from the internet will be blocked because you'll be able to change the ports within this network package. So right now I have enabled two public ports. One is 80 and the second one is SSH, which is nothing but your 22. These are the two ports that I have identified. Okay. Is that clear so far, or any questions you are having? Please tell me.
Hi, Ravi.
Yeah.
Like if you go to size for a free trial account, we don't see this pre-service enrollment.
Like,
size, if you come to size, the bottom middle one size, we have parameter size right down bottom.
then
Then so for a free trial account, we don't see this one free service eligible is not, this is not available. But I'm not able to say the free trial account. I'm able to see like standard DS2, standard DS4.
Image, which image you have selected? Check the image.
Image select చేశారు. Image ఇదే select చేశారు మీరు. Good catch.
Yes, yes, sir. Ubuntu server 20.4 LTS into 64 Gen 2. Yes. Yeah, same I selected.
ఇది VM architecture x64 అయినా మీరు సెలెక్ట్ చేసి.
అవునండి.
ఇది సెలెక్ట్ చేసి ఇది రావాలి కదా మరి మీకు ఇది ఇక్కడ.
ద ఓన్లీ అది రావట్లేదండి, సైజ్ ఫ్రీ సర్వీస్ ఎలిజిబుల్ అనేది రావట్లేదు, మిగతా వస్తున్నాయి. మేబీ
ప్రస్తుతానికి సెలెక్ట్ చేయండి ఏదో.
There are two images for Ubuntu. You might have selected 20, but like Ravi selected 22.
Can you go 22? Okay. All right. But okay, let me try then. 24, 6, same. No, same it's there. I'm not able to see the size of free service. Even I changed the Ubuntu also, 22.
We'll look into that one, sir. Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, we're not going to keep this one for so many time, so we'll try to delete. Now, I have mentioned this user ID and then password. These are the input roles that I have mentioned. And this is the basic configuration that we have mentioned here for this particular virtual machine, the Azure virtual machine we have mentioned. Okay. Once you have mentioned this, the basic configuration for this Azure virtual machine, then what you do is that you click on this next disk. How much is the RAM that has been given in this in the previous basic one? How much is the RAM that has been given?
1 giga.
1 gigabyte has been given. 1 gigabyte has been given. Okay. Now, whether you want to have this particular encryption, okay, when you have your hard disk, I just want to make sure that the hard disk should be encrypted. Okay. If I don't want to have this particular hard disk to be encrypted, then I don't need this one. If you want to encrypt, it should be at a selected subscription. So that's why I don't want to use this one. Even that will not work also as well.
So this is encryption at rest, right?
This is an encryption at rest only. Yeah.
Okay.
Encryption at post. Yeah. Now, what is the OS disk size? Image default is something like 30 GB. When you try to open this one, the free tier available what you're having is this one, but try to keep it as which is something like 13 GB only. Okay. Now, see here, this is one thing that you need to be important for following here. What is this thing here? Azure VM is having one operating system disk and a temporary disk for short-term storage. Okay? When you're trying to spin up a virtual machine, it will be having a temporary disk for the particular short-term storage. And then what you can do is that you can attach additional data disks. Okay. The size of the VM determines the type of storage you can use and the number of disks that are really allowed. And when you're trying to select a basic virtual machine, and when I want to use something like the more what we want to mention here, like the disk size is something like 1 TB, something of that sort, it cannot be able to scale up to that one, right? That's the reason. That's the reason. What you are supposed to do is that you are supposed to make sure the image default is 30 GB, and here the OS step what you are having here should also be making sure that it should be within your free tier limit only. Okay. There are something like solid state drives. What is that solid state drive? Best for web server, lightly used for enterprise applications for dev and test. Best for productions. Standard is something like best for product non-critical and then infrequent access. So you try to select this one as standard SSD here in this case. Okay. Then now when you try to delete your VM, that means that when you launch your virtual machine and then when you try to terminate your virtual machine, what happens is that I don't want to have this disk to be existing. So in such a case, what I can do is that I can have the option of making sure that this disk need to be. This is my secondary disk. So two things that you need to understand here is when you try to create your uh, virtual machine, there are two disks that will be automatically be created. What are those two disks? That is something like a operating system disk and a temporary disk for short-term storage. Temporary disk for short-term storage. This is what is called as your ephemeral storage, what we call. Okay. But what we are doing here, we want to attach additional disk. Those additional disks, whenever you create, what you can do is that you can try to detach them from the virtual machine and then you can use it anywhere else also as well. Okay. But for the safe side, what we are planning to do is that I want to, for the safe side, what I'm planning to do is that I am planning to delete this disk at the time of deleting your virtual machine also I'm trying to do here. The time of deleting this virtual machine, I'm trying to do that one here in this case. Select this one. Okay. The moment once you do this one, what is going to happen is that you're going to have something called as the key management. Right now, I'm not really interested in keys. Okay. I want to use only this key management, which is nothing but your platform management keys. See, for the purpose of encryption, what you want to do is that you need to select those keys, security keys you need to select. So since I'm not really focusing on customer manager keys or something of that sort, I can select something the default as platform manager key, which is okay. And enable ultra disk compatibility. This is not really required here. High IOPS and consistent this thing, if you want to use, I can use this one, but I'm not trying to use that one out there. Then coming back here. So this is what is the data disk here, what you're creating here. Okay. You can add additional disk for your virtual machines or attach existing disk. Told you, right? If you don't select this option, what is that option here? Delete with VM. If you don't specify this one, automatically what happens is the existing disk what you're having here can be attached to this virtual machine also as attach an existing disk. But since it's the first time, I'm just trying to make sure that delete and VM only I'm trying to mention here. Then click on this next. Here, what you're having is you're having something like networking that exists. Please come to this networking part. So, is this basics and this clear to everybody? Because it is a series of steps that we need to follow for the purpose of creating these things. At some point of time, if I'm not really interested in the other steps also as well, you can simply drop and then click on this review plus create. You can do that one where it will try to take the defaults and then start creating your Azure virtual machine. It will try to create your Azure virtual machine. Okay. Now, it is going to create something like the virtual network. Don't bother about this particular thing right now, the virtual network, subnet, and public IP, because these things will be seeing in detail once we come on to that networking. Okay. Right now, I'm not interested in dealing with the networking topics in order to make you confused because our purpose is to create the plain vanilla Azure virtual machine in order to spin it up and running. That's the reason I'm going to create this Azure virtual machine. Okay. So we create this hello world IP you create, and then virtual network, subnet, and public IP I'm mentioning is as default, and NIC also I mentioned, which is basic. Everything is basic here. And I have already selected these inbound ports. What are those two inbound ports here? The HTTP 80, and then you are having something like SSH 22 has been specified. Now, delete public IP and NIC when IME is deleted. Okay, that means that whatever the IP address that you are mentioning here should go away when you delete your virtual machine. So that's why I'm trying to mention this delete public IP also as well. Okay, now there is load balancing we have here. So how many nodes we are creating here? One or more than one we are creating normally. Are we creating one node or more than one node we are creating? Are we creating one node or more than one node? How many nodes we have been creating here? One or more than one?
More than one, two nodes.
One node, right? Because I'm selected only
Single
one
node.
But we have selected two zones, right? Zone 1, zone 2, two virtual machines we are creating.
Are you serious?
I mean,
We started creating only one node here. You can see here. When you go to this particular basics, I mentioned something like the availability zone is only one.
oh, okay.
Understood? So that's why we are creating only one. So when you are creating only one, do you think that we need to have this load balance that should exist? There is no need for you to have this load balancing, right? That's the reason when you go for this particular networking, it will ask you here. Where is this one? It is going to ask you this load balancing. When you have only one node, that is the node that is responsible for the purpose of executing all your that is the node that is responsible for the purpose of executing all your things. That's the reason what we don't need is that we don't need this load balancing at this point of time. Is that clear to you? Okay. Now we go to this particular next minute. This is we really don't need anything. I don't need any identity here. See here. Here your subscription is protected by Microsoft Defender for cloud basic plan. but I don't need any managed identity here. What is this auto shutdown here? Auto shutdown means configures your virtual machines to automatically shut down daily. I don't want to do this one because whenever you are planning to spin up the production servers, I don't want to shut down them daily basically. Okay. Do you want to have this backup that need to be installed? I don't want to do this particular backup also as well. Then guest OS updates, image default or Azure orchestrates. Okay, image default only I'll mention. That means that whatever the defaults that the operating system recommends, only those things only will try to provide. But there are some things Azure might recommend also as well. But we don't want to have this particular patches that need to be applied. You know what are those patches, right? Every time we need to upload. Every time we need to what we can say, every time we need to update, make some updates, those updated patches in order to protect against all the threats and hackers that will be given, right? So in such a case, we need to make sure that we try to get that particular update over there. So guest OS updates which are available for this one, and some patch orchestrations are not available for this particular base. This is a very least section that we are bothered. Why this is the least section? Because the management option what you're having here is something that we're not really doing much. That we go to this monitoring. When you go to this particular monitoring, alert rules. What are those alert rules here? In case if you want to troubleshoot why this particular server is failing and why this particular server is crashed, something of that sort. If you want to really monitor those particular things, then you can try to do this particular boot diagnostics that we can do. But right now, I really don't need any of these things, monitoring things. That's the reason I just try to keep these things as default and go to this next here. Here, what you're having is you're having two things here. One is nothing but your pass a cloud init script configuration file into the virtual machine while it is being provisioned. This data will be saved in the VM in this VM location. This is what is called as your custom data. Okay, like when you are trying to install your Linux machine, okay, what we want to do is that we'd like to pass this web server script like HTTP and HTTPD that you want to install at the time of booting for the first time. Okay, in such a case, you can have the option of trying to use this particular custom data and then cloud init you can specify. That means that how many times this will be executed, Ravi Kumar garu?
One time.
Only one time it is supposed to be executed within the lifetime of your virtual machine. Okay? The first time when you're going to launch your virtual machine, what you can do is that you can create a particular script. That script will execute, and then all the services, whatever you want to put as a part of your configuration, those things will be kept, and then this custom data will be executed. Okay. Now there is one more thing here. There will be something called as this user data. What is the data here? Pass a script or a configuration file and other data that can be accessible for your applications throughout the lifetime of an instance. Okay. You want to pass your configuration files, you want to pass your keys, license keys, something of the sort, that you want to keep it as long as your virtual machine is active. Then in such a case, what you need to do is that you need to select this particular user data. Okay, so can somebody tell me what is the major difference between this user data and custom data here? What is the major difference between this user data and custom data? Guys, I want you to speak, please. What is the major difference between this user data and custom data?
Custom data will be used only once, whereas user data will be used when each application runs.
Okay, with the help of the custom data, you would like to install some services that would be used only once for the entire lifetime of the instance. That is what is your custom data. Okay, but you also have something called as user data. What is the purpose of that user data? In that user data, what we do is that we try to what we can say, we try to install that user data that will be kept for the lifetime of the instance. That is what is the purpose of the user data. So right now I'm not doing anything basically, just
So user data, do we need to upload that file or something like that?
yeah, we need to upload that file, or else we need to specify those locations where we will be able to get that particular data. The links we can specify over there, basically.
Okay.
The links we can specify over there here. Okay. So there are no host groups, there are no capacity reservations. These things we'll see when you're trying to spin the clusters. But right now, what we are doing is that we are trying to spin only the one node only. That's why these things are taken as the defaults. Okay. Then go to this particular tags. No tags I'm trying to use here. Then what you're going to have is that you're going to use and create this particular thing. There are 13 things that have been selected. You can see here. How much is the rate that is being given here? 0.104 US dollars per hour it is going to charge. Because I've selected the basic minimum plain vanilla configuration. I have selected the basic minimum plain vanilla configuration that we are trying to use. Now, subscription is the Azure subscription, which is your free trial subscription. Then resource group is the new Azure demos that I have created. Virtual machine name is Hello World. Region is US users. Availability zone is 1, the US zone, and then security is standard. And here I mentioned this one as the public inbound ports are this one here. And within the disk, I mentioned only this standard HDD LRS I have selected. How much is the GB that you have been using over there? I think 30 GB, right? 32 GB, I think. Yeah, 30 GB you are using, and then delete upon OS with respect to this one. This is enabled. Okay. And networking is all the defaults that you have mentioned here, and this is the management group. This is what is your monitoring. And advanced things, what we are doing is that we are trying to keep them as default. We are trying to keep them as default. Ravi Kumar Garu, is this easy or AWS easy creating the EC2 or creating this Azure virtual machine here? Tell me.
This is easy.
Azure is easy.
Yes, sir. Yes, Ravi. Yeah, I'm feeling this much is very easy. And little bit confused when AWS.
Yeah. This is the way that we want to create, and then we want to create this Azure virtual machine.
The look and feel is looks very impressive. That's makes more or less it's the same thing, but look and feel gives you more
Look and feel gives more impressive, and that one is a lot of confusion. Basically.
confusion.
That's,
Yeah.
that's user friendly. User friendly. Yes.
Yeah, user friendly basically. Okay. You mentioned this one, and then click on this create thing here. It's going to create this virtual machine.
Ravi, one question. So in real time, so are these steps are followed or using the scripts will generate the virtual machines?
There are two things. Whatever you are doing here can be done through graphical interface, and that can also be done programmatically with the help of this Azure CLI, command line interface. Okay. Basically, what we do is that we try to follow in the real time. We don't create all these things one by one. Okay. What we try to do is that we'll try to create a group of nodes within the cluster with some configuration. Okay. So in such a case, we can have the option of using some templates that we'll be using basically. Okay. Those templates are going to help us for the purpose of creating those particular things. You understand what I'm saying, Sandeep?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah.
Here,
Developers will not create these services, right? So we just use
infrastructure people will create these things. Infrastructure people will create these things. There is a lot of difference between working in a learning environment and working in a production domain. Okay, so the services, the virtual services, the VMs, what you need to create is something that is done by your infrastructure group. Okay, you'll be provided the user IDs and passwords, then you can do. In case if you're working in a dev or a QA or POC, then you can have the option of creating the bare minimum things that you want to create. Got my point?
yes.
We have created this one. How can you know this one? The moment once you go to this home, okay, when you go to this resource groups, what I have done is that there is one resource group that has been created. There is nothing but your Azure demos that has been created. Everything has been created in your East US only. You can see here, right? Everything is created within this East US only, and then this is the Azure demos that have been created. So that's why logical grouping of all these things are going to happen with respect to this resource groups here. Okay, now, and this resource group is connected to this subscription. So subscription is at the highest level, and in the lowest level you are having this resource groups, and within the resource groups you are going to have this particular resources. Okay, open this Azure demos. Okay, you go to the group, select these virtual machines. This is your first virtual machine that has been created, which is nothing but your hello world. Select virtual machines, the first virtual machine that has been created here, which is your hello world. Okay, then you select this hello world, which is running. Okay, now what should I do here? Open this one. It is asking you to connect to the virtual machine. Okay, when you want to connect to this virtual machine, I want to connect through a Bastion host. Bastion host we have not yet seen, but I want to connect. Please open this particular. There are three options or two options that will be provided here. One is SSH using this Azure CLI. And through the Azure portal itself, you can have the option of selecting this one. And then the other option what you're having is you need to select with the help of this native SSH, which is a local machine. Okay, we'll see this one at a later point of time, but the recommended one what you're having is that Azure CLI that I can use, which is nothing but your Azure shell. So the moment once you select this one, see what happens. It is validating these things.
This virtual machine anywhere using this IP address?
RDP JTech కంటే it is better to see. RDP JTech కంటే see. RDP we generally do it with the help of the Windows machines and basically.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me configure and then connect. You need to configure some features in order to configure this virtual machine. When you duplicate this one, see here, this is being configured, which is nothing but your Azure shell. You're requesting a cloud shell. This succeeded. Connecting to a terminal. Once the terminal is being connected, this is your Azure shell. ఈ షెల్ కంటే ఆ క్లౌడ్ షెల్ బాగుంటుంది రవికుమార్ గారు. యూ వాంట్ కనెక్ట్ ఎస్ ఆర్ నో? నో ఫింగర్ ప్రింట్, రైట్? సో హియర్ వాట్ ఐ డు దట్ ఐ కెన్ మెన్షన్ సంథింగ్ లైక్ VMI. This is the virtual machine that has been created. Agent displays the current version name, what it specifies. So here, what you do is that you mention this agent. Who am I? Again, PWD. Data specifies is nothing but your home/k that is being specified. Okay. So this is the way we can have the option of creating your first virtual machine, Azure virtual machine within Azure. Okay. Now what we do is that you go to this virtual machines. When this is running, what you can do is that I want to stop this virtual machine. Do you want to stop all the selected virtual machines? Yes. The size is standard B1S you are seeing. Executing the stop command. These are the notifications that is giving here. The moment once you refresh this one, you should be able to see this one has stopped here. Yeah, this is stopped. Okay. Now, if you don't need this particular resource, what you can do is that you can have the option of deleting this one. When you're going to delete this one, it is going to tell you confirm delete. Apply force delete for the virtual machines and the other things. And then once you mention this particular delete here, this is the place where you are going to delete this. Delete. This will be deleted. Executing the delete command in this case. Is the interface is looking good, right, Ravikumar garu?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it makes very simple.
Yeah. So no virtual machines to display here in this. Okay, now when you go here and then if you can see here, it is something like 99.96. Why? Because use something like 0.01 only that has been done. Okay. The moment once you go to this place and then once you select this particular subscriptions, it will tell you the places where the subscriptions has been current cost is 0.04. Shows you here, right? When you open the subscription name, it will be specifying the places where it has been done here. See here. So the virtual machines, what you're having is something like 2.02 hours of 750 hours that has been used basically. This is the way you can have the option of creating your first Azure virtual machine in this case, which is basically a compute resource that we want to use. The core service is what you use, nothing but the compute service. A couple of guidelines, what I'm telling you is don't go for the extreme things. Don't go for the extreme because the time once we go into data engineering, you need to spend a lot of money also as well. With respect to the within the constraints, you need to spend a lot of money out there. That's the reason what I'm saying is that please be courteous and gracious of spending these particular amounts, and then make sure that in the first initial 220 days or so, you're going to use only this $200 credit in order to make sure that you try to have a overview of all the services that you are going to replace. Okay, you spin the resource and then you delete the resource. Don't keep it running for longer periods of time because you will be ultimately be charged and billed for this particular things basically here. Okay. That's the reason. This is the way that we try to do here in this particular case. Any questions before we conclude the class today? Is that clear or any questions you're having? Please tell me, sir.
Once we have create our own machine, we don't do this from the data sector.
Jay Kumar garu, your voice is breaking.
Yeah, actually, once we are going to create a new virtual machine, our own, then only we'll come to the question.
Oh, okay. So please do that one and then let me know tomorrow. Once you create those things,
Yeah, sure.
take it from there. Okay?
Sure, sure.
హాయ్ సార్
Hi.
సార్ ఇప్పుడు మీరు చేస్తున్న ప్రతి పాయింట్ తెలియాలన్నా సార్ ఇక్కడ
ఏదండి
ఇప్పుడు మీరు క్రియేట్ చేశారు కదా సార్ క్రియేట్ చేసినప్పుడు ఇక్కడ మెన్షన్ చేశారు కదా సార్ సబ్స్క్రిప్షన్ అని రిసోర్స్ అని జోన్ అని ఇట్లా అంటే ప్రతి పాయింట్ ఇక్కడ తెలిసి ఉండాలన్నా సార్
తెలుసుంటే మంచిదే కదా చెప్పండి మీరే
సార్ రీజియన్ కి జోన్ కి అంటే రీజియన్ అనేది వేర్ వర్చువల్ మిషన్ ఈస్ క్రియేటెడ్ కదా సార్. మరి జోన్ అనేది
Zone is the place where your virtual machines are created. Okay. A collection of zones is nothing but a region, and a collection of regions is nothing but a geography, right? You remember what I told you here?
సార్
Where is it here? See here. Geography, regions, and availability zones. This is the place where you have your data centers, and this is the place where they are expected to be created out there. Got my point? Okay.
Hi Ravi, this is Ranjan here.
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah, I created my account, Azure account, but $200 is not credited till now.
కాసేపు ఆగిన తర్వాత చూడండి అయిందో లేదు.
Pardon?
It should debit that amount, right? Basically.
This is not credited. $200 are credited not in my account till.
Wait for some time or log out and then see. Okay. Maybe you need to check after some time and then see if that has been created or if this has been debited or not. There should be some reduction in the amount what you are seeing here over there, right? Same
Yeah.
over there also as well. Okay.
There is no any notification in my account.
Did you fill your instance?
Yeah. So there is no any notification into my account like that. 200 credit remains and like that. There is no any notification.
You check after some time and then let me know or let me know. Then we'll see tomorrow. Okay.
Okay. Sure.
Sir, I'm still confused with the region and zones.
Can somebody help? What is that region and what is the zone? See here.
Zone is a data center where the instances are created, and logically we are segregating that in regions actually.
Yeah. ఇప్పుడు these are all the regions that you see here అండి.
Okay.
These regions. ఎన్ని regions? South India అనేది ఒక region, Central India అనేది ఒక region, ఇది అనేది region. This is Chennai. Okay. Chennai will be having some cities. Chennai will be having some Tamil Nadu might be having some cities where you set up your data centers. Okay. Those data centers are treated as availability zones. AGs, we call them. Okay. Every region will be having three availability zones that exist. Okay. That's it from my side today. And we'll continue tomorrow and then we'll take it from there. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.